Cat, oh, cat looks so cute. Okay, there we
Okay.
go.
All right. Hmm. Okay. So we are recording. Here we are on filmsgonewild.com. Uh, my name is John Wildman. I'm the editor-in-chief of Films Gone Wild. With me is Justina Walford, the managing editor of filmsgonewild.com. We've tried talking a few different times, tried doing uh, uh, these like little episodes where we talk about film stuff, and it's like once every 2 years, I think we try to do this, and then it goes nowhere. But this time
Oh,
it's going to
oh,
be a consistent thing where we're going to talk about films and stuff and chat them up and do all that, right? Right, Justine?
yes, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'm going to start off with this because I just finished watching kind of the Spirit Awards, which were live on YouTube. I think in the past they've been on the Sundance Channel or something else or some other like, you know,
Are
channel.
they on YouTube on the Sundance YouTube channel?
No, I think they were just on YouTube, pure YouTube. I mean, I didn't see any other logo stuff or signage. I could be wrong, but that's just what what I saw. And I got an email because I think I'm on the IFP like email list or whatever, and it says click here and you can watch it. Because
Mhm.
I would have never thought, I didn't even know when they were. I'm not hot and heavy giving a damn about the award stuff, which is what we're going to talk about, I think, or kind of. Um, but like I said, I just kind of stumbled onto it, and I got so bored watching it that I literally started watching a movie, and then occasionally would pause the movie and unmute whatever presenter and acceptance speech was going on. Um, am I losing you? Wow. I had one audience member who I was talking to, and I've already lost her. That's that's how interesting this topic is. Um, but I'm gonna continue on. So anyway, so I literally I was so bored watching the Spirit Awards, and I think there are multiple reasons for that. Um, that I was watching uh, the Roger Corman film Galaxy of Terror, which has been highly entertaining, um, starring Edward Albert, a very young Robert Englund, Aaron Moran, Joni from Happy Days, Ray Walston, Uncle Martin from My Favorite Martian, Grace Zabriskie, who later was on Twin Peaks. I mean, it's just a fantastic cast. So very cool and fun and ridiculous. That it was much more entertaining, ironically, than the Spirit Awards. So, um, Justine, when you're done eating, I'm happy for you to jump in because I know you have strong opinions about award shows in
I
general.
don't like, I don't like them. And here's the thing, I think I loved them when I was an aspiring writer, when I was screenwriting or acting or whatever. When I was or if I worked in the industry. Then I found like all these awards fascinating and I kept up with it all. And I am not in the industry. It's Betty. I am not in the industry anymore. And now I realize it is not for the normies.
Uh, really quickly for people who may not know us, Betty, who Justina just referenced, is the dog that's right who she's trying to lure on camera. Betty Dog,
Oh,
who is the cutest dog in the world, pretty princess. And oh, she was so close, almost there. And then you can see right next to me, this is Dale. That's Dale.
Betty's boyfriend.
That's one of my dogs. Okay. Anyway, so back to this. Well, here you go. And then I wanted to talk about this because, you know, for the longest time, the Oscars were a big fucking deal to watch for me. You go to an Oscar party, you'd have some kind of, the whatever the contest to see who got the most, guesses right. during the party, and you do things like that. And I don't do that anymore. I don't know that I've watched the entire awards the last, I think since maybe even since the pandemic. I don't know. Um, the
Well, did
pandemic.
we watch them together? Did we ever watch the Oscars together?
I mean, prior to the pandemic, maybe. Um, we went to a party or what have you, maybe. But I don't recall. Um,
I
uh,
think when we lived in LA, we did, but even when we lived in New York, I don't think we did.
yeah. I think I went to what was it one Ira Deutschman, great independent film producer. I went to a Oscar party that he had one year in New York City, and that was a fun event. Um, uh, but I just don't really remember. And the point is that I feel so far removed. And here I am, I'm a film guy. I'm a film festival guy. I represent films, but I'm not in that big studio, that kind of thing. It's like there's there is, which is one of the things I want to talk about. There's like this elitist kind of thing, and in terms of like the films that are up for awards and the people who are up for awards, and they seem so kind of far removed from the films and the filmmakers I work with on a day-to-day basis and year-long basis. Um, that it's not part of my world. Even though I'm my entire world is film and films and film festivals. Um, uh,
The Spirit Award is a little different because I think you probably do know someone at the Spirit Awards.
but I don't because ironically um, you have films like Frankenstein and Bugonia and films like that. They're an independent film. Like they have $40 million budgets or $100 million budgets. You go, that's independent. Technically, they can claim it's an independent, but you go like Neon, A24. That's like it's bullshit independent. That's not an independent film like our film, Ladies of the House, which we made for 150 grand, or films that are made even for a lower budget,
Mhm.
um, like the Purdy family, who we love, and their film Pilgrim. This has been doing a festival tour, which I think they spent 10 grand making it, maybe total.
Hmm.
So those are films that that we're like, we're accustomed to working with and helping and promoting and writing about and all that kind
Made
of.
me want to start an awards ceremony for movies under 50 grand.
Well, here's the ironic thing. In
But it'll still be boring, so I don't, I'm not gonna do it.
Well, we're going to get to that too. We're going to get to the actual show presentation. But like, here's the funny thing. Like you have like Sundance got away from actually having Discovery Films, and so they had to create the next category, which was clearly a category for what Sundance used to be. Like they could only do one section, one category of what all the films in Sundance used to be, which
Uh-huh.
were these lower budgeted. It was like under maybe 500,000, I don't know, budget or what have you. Um, and then even they changed it. They go, well, yeah, that's what it was, but we don't really give a fuck about that. I mean, that's the reality. And so now they're saying, well, no, next is blah. They come with some other bullshit description, but it's not. Again,
Yeah.
it's not that discovery thing. And here on the Spirit Awards, they have the John Cassavetes Award, which again is like films that are under 500,000, I'm pretty sure. And I think
Mhm.
they maybe only had like three nominees. And you go, really? You could only come up with three, you can only allow three nominees in this category, which is supposed to be celebrating independent film.
Mhm.
That seems, again, it's like I think it's so much obvious proof of the bullshit that the Spirit Awards are, and and that Sundance is as well in these cases in terms of, well, this is not really about indie film. These are not the films that are doing the regional film festival circuit, going to the film festivals across the country, not based in New York or LA, or even the smaller film festivals, indie-based film festivals in New York or LA. It's not those. It's like
To
it's a whole
play
other.
to play devil's advocate,
Oh, please do.
isn't it because it's really hard to make money screening a truly independent, low budget film?
Well, here, yeah, I mean, there's the argument. I mean, listen, the Oscars, what they um, opened up like the best film thing to like they doubled the number of nominees so they could have multiplex big multiplex movies that could be included in that group of like it used to be five, and then they opened up to 10 so they could have like a big movie like, Batman Returns or, or what have you that could be included in there because the complaint they kept getting from regular people is that they hadn't seen these movies that were nominated for awards. And they're going, well, why we don't care. Why are we watching this? These are random ass movies.
Mm.
And so, ironically, like the Independent Spirit Awards, the Spirit Awards, um, they have a shit ton of movies that even I haven't heard of.
Mm.
And again, I'm on, I'm spending the year in a different city several weeks out of the year. Um, and I've never heard or seen of these movies. So even in the indie strata, there's this different elitist kind of category thing, you know, of films that have not done the regional film festival circuit, and you go, well, they're basically going through this different this different kind of pipeline to get the status and get and get this whatever, which means even though they're indie, they still have huge ass budgets to do awards campaigns because awards campaigns are three times as much as a lot of movies that I'm doing PR for or that are at the film festivals that I do PR for. Um,
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the show itself. You didn't see the show. Um,
No. I don't watch award shows if I don't have not seen the movie, listen to the music, watch the TV shows. Like if because I am so not watching a lot of stuff, except Heated Rivalry, which we will get to later. I am not watching a lot of stuff. So I don't need to know who won. I don't care who won if I don't care about who made the movie. You know what I mean? Like I have not watched any of the Oscar nominated films.
I I may
Films.
I may have seen two or three of the Oscar nominated films.
Mhm.
Um, and
And I'm not going to make myself watch them just because they were nominated. And
yeah,
that's I
yeah.
think how most of America is at this point.
Well, and also I don't want to digress because I think it's worthy of another in fact, actually, I think we will get to this later, but just a preview. I also like a lot of those Oscar nominated films are like 2.5, 3 hours long. And it's like going, fuck you. Really? And
Actually, the Oscars got longer because they were 2.5 and now they're 3.5.
no, but I'm just talking about the movies themselves.
Oh, the movies.
I'm talking about the movies themselves. Like One Battle After Another, which would be a movie right up my alley. I still haven't watched because it's close to 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Right? It may be. I mean, and so I tell people all the time, like movies that I review, movies like anytime I get a movie to review and it is 70 minutes to 90 minutes long, I want to send the filmmaker a muffin basket because I'm like I'm like so appreciative that they have economy of storytelling, and they can do it in that amount of time. And mind you, sometimes I mean, films are worthy of that runtime because they're big epic journeys and they can maintain it, they can handle it. But it's just like over and over again to each one to be 2.5 to 3 hours long. And go no, and so anyway, now, but really quickly.
To conclude,
We're gonna conclude
award
the
shows are
topic.
boring.
Are we concluding the topic? Are you shutting this down?
I'm
Okay.
trying to.
Okay. All right. Fine. I won't talk about the show itself. Boring. Uh,
Oh, we haven't gotten that. We haven't even talked.
We
Oh,
didn't talk about the show, but then again, you didn't see the show, so you can't really comment. But I can just say that it was there's just no energy to it whatsoever. And there was no hilarity. There was no, I mean, it was, and they had, okay, we are talking about the show. We didn't wrap it up. Huge, very, very long stage, and people were duplicating the movie The Long Walk to get to the microphone. In fact, somebody I think even made a joke about it when The Long Walk, which of course was up for an Indie Award, and you go, that's another big budget movie. That's another goddamn big budget movie. But anyway, so the long walk to get to the microphone, and then it was just, man, I mean, the, people need to get those like those jumper things to start people's hearts. And routinely award shows, people talk about the
do they
fact.
do that little like like chatting? The next award is and like little jokey.
I mean, yeah, they had some bumper segments which were not funny. Um,
Oh,
uh,
like when they presented, was the presenting funny?
I
Or
mean, a couple presenters, had some funny bits. Um, uh, but,
you
but,
know
but
what this reminds me of? There's a scene in Heated Rivalry where they're presenting awards, and Ilya says takes a picture, and then that plays later in the show because he wants to keep the picture of Shane.
okay, for our audience, for people that are watching this, and God knows why you are. Um, but Justina is all about Heated Rivalry, and she's been trying to get me to watch this. I do not have HBO Max because I got rid of a lot of streaming services. Um, uh, Fairly recently. So I no longer have HBO Max, and so I cannot watch this. And she is campaigning so hard to get me to watch this film that I think
TV show.
I think she's being paid by Glad.
It's a TV show, but it's only five or six episodes, so it's kind of a really long movie. It's like a mini series.
Yeah, yeah. And this happens. My housemate was campaigning very heavy for me to watch Adolescence, and she forced me to watch Adolescence fairly recently. Now she's campaigning to get me to watch the last episode of The Closer. Remember the Kira Sedgwick?
That
Uh,
was an amazing show. The Closer was really good television. Oh my
I
God, Kira
well,
Sedgwick was like so brilliant. Like her
I
character
enjoy it
and
too. I enjoy it too. And I have fun with it too. And there's one storyline that they had left as a dangling kind of thing to wrap up, and apparently they wrap it up in the very last episode. And Daphne, my housemate, will not tell me what happened. She's gonna make me watch this thing, which I don't kind of mind because I do enjoy it, the closer. Anyway, back to regularly scheduled programming. Uh,
oh right.
let's do a really
This
quick
Heated
shot.
Rivalry, right? Are we still talking about the
No,
Spirit
we're not
Awards?
talking. No, you're not talking about Heated Rivalry. No,
Okay.
we are not talking about Heated Rivalry. Maybe after I watch it, Justina.
I have a whole thing to talk about with Heated Rivalry about attention spans. The perfect segue is to say that award shows are boring.
But the
Hockey
gay,
players
but,
love is not.
but the gay hockey players are not boring. That's what you're saying. Award
It's
shows are boring,
so much
but gay
more
hockey players.
than gay hockey players.
Guess
But
what?
it's also gay hockey players is so much more than gay hockey players. And like a woman wrote a sexy novel, a spicy novel about gay hockey players because she wanted to talk. Oh wait, we're not talking about this yet. But okay,
No, we are not. We are not. We are not talking about Heated Rivalry. No. I'm gonna get this in there. Yes, you are an unreliable narrator. That is absolutely what you are. Um, I should have my fascist tears coffee mug for my tea. I should have that so we can compare our mugs. Um, Really quick, Bud Cort passed away. The star of Harold and Maude, um, one of
amazing.
the one of the muses of Hal Ashby. In fact, if you can find go on YouTube, I think it's on there, or just go to the documentary on Hal Ashby, which I think is appropriately titled Hal, um, and see Bud Cort's speech at uh, the service for Hal Ashby. his memorial service because it's hilarious and it's funny and it's a perfect example of Bud Cort's one of a kind personality and presence. And he's one of those stars, one of those icons on the screen that that keeps my faith. One interested me in movies, or when I was really getting into movies or whatever, and and even now looking back, it gives me faith because it's one of those things where you go, someone who is almost the antithesis of the square-jawed, 6 foot plus tall, manufactured out of out of a computer. This is what a movie star looks like, um, and yet uh, is just the most amazing, presence on screen. Even if he just did the one movie, even if it was just Harold and Maude, that movie alone would be it. Um, and not a mass consumption person. I mean, because none of his movies were really big multiplex movies. Um, uh, so you kind of had, if you were in the know, you knew. If you know, you know. So anyway, so Bud Cort passed away. Okay. That being said, the other topic we want to really talk about was attention span. And I sent you an article. Was it The Atlantic?
Uh-huh.
Did the article on the fact that film professors were bemoaning the fact that they could not get their students to watch an entire movie. It's a film class. That's what the class is. The class is about film and filmmaking and film analysis and I guess dramaturgy, so to speak, and whatever. And they
Did
could,
the article say what movies that professor was trying to make the students watch?
well, the one example they offer up in a very specific manner was The Conversation. Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation, starring Gene Hackman, um, which is a brilliant film, one of those classic 70s films when the movies were about ideas, Justina. In the
Okay.
70s, so the movies were about ideas. Um, but it has a very famous final scene, which film critics, film journalists have written about quite a bit. Um, and they could not only could they not get their students um, to watch the entire movie, they couldn't even get them to watch that one goddamn scene. And so and so the article was like how different film professors are dealing with it. Like, one, how they would try to incentivize their students to actually watch the entire movie, or the ones who just gave up and were like going, well, I guess I can just do clips. I guess I can just do this to to get them to to study filmmaking and what have you. Um, your thoughts. You have the floor.
Oh, thank you. So I sent you, so of course, how you and I think, you sent me an Atlantic article, I sent you a TikTok. Um, but the creator um
That
talked
that
about
that that is, by the way, that is exactly us.
the creator talked about how we do have still have a very solid attention span um for things that we can find interest in, right? So like when you try, it was easier to be interested in a movie because you were usually in a theater back in the day, right? When most of these movies were made, we were kind of held captive by the architecture of a movie theater, right? Um, that doesn't happen now. And I know that Matt Damon complained about how that's a executive decision now to be like, hey, your script's really great, but we want you to add more exposition in your dialogue because people listen and don't watch. And that is, of course, a horrible suggestion from an executive, as most executive suggestions are. Um, and Heated Rivalry is a perfect example of how there is the ability to garner interest enough where, and Stranger Things is actually also another good one. And we see it more in TV shows, maybe because they're created for the small screen. But people are always rewatching these kind of TV shows and looking for the Easter eggs. And what is fascinating about the phenomenon of heated rivalry is you will see YouTube videos, Instagram reels, and TikToks of people who are not really into film, but they will create the most insane critiques of each scene, and they will rewatch it just so they can be like, look at this, and they'll analyze every micro expression from the actors. They will go into dialogue that half of them learned Russian. It is insane how much they are eyeballs on the screen. Now, of course, the first thing that you might say is, well, that's because there's a bunch of hot naked men doing hot naked men things.
Is that what I
But
would?
it's,
Is that the first thing I would say?
I think so. Is that the first? But the hot naked stuff is actually also analyzed in the exact same way. They analyze, like, they critique, like, what, when certain sexual positions happen. Like, oh, because the relationship, yeah, that's why that happened. So, like, and I won't go into detail because I don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, please do not spoil the hot man on man action. Um,
There are straight men who will go on TikTok and react to these and they cry. Straight men are crying.
well, I mean, of course, I know it's because you started sending me those as well.
Mhm.
Um, um, well, you bring up something that I think is interesting. Um, that so we have this call and which yes, we have people that cannot stay off their phones. Like they're in the theater and and they'll still be scrolling through stuff as the movie's happening. Um, you know, and yet you can go on YouTube, and for many films, you can find someone who has dissected and found Easter eggs and found things that foreshadow that you might not have seen, and find and like really got like hard. So there are people that are, as you say, watching, rewatching, like with a fine-tooth comb, showing stuff in the background, which warms any filmmaker's heart. That you go, because we're trying to fill the screen and put all this stuff in. You go, maybe that's just for me, but it's really cool that it's in there. And then some guy or some woman is on YouTube going, watch this, cat freeze frame here, right? So you have that, and yet you also have people that cannot get through an entire movie without watching their phone or pausing.
That's so here. By the way, if you rewatch Heated Rivalry, it's called reheating. Huh? I think you'd like that.
Yeah,
Reheating.
you really need to stop. You really need
So
to.
so with that, like the reason why I think it works is that it's not Skinamax. It's not like the old, you know, Skinamax stuff that we tried to watch when we were kids and weren't allowed to.
And let me
Uh,
stop. Let me stop really quickly to explain for all of our younger viewers. There used to be a cable channel called Cinemax, and Cinemax became known as Skinemax because if you were a younger teenage boy or girl, this is before the internets, before the series of interconnecting tubes that were the internets at the time. If you wanted to see boobies or you wanted to see sexual, stuff, then you would stay up late. Wait until your parents went to sleep, were not paying attention to what you were watching, and you got to watch the sexy time stuff that you couldn't see. And so therefore, Skinamax. Continue.
yes. Um, so what was I saying?
I don't even know now. Um,
The point is that there are some, Jacob Tierney, the director, has some amazing shots, one shots throughout the show. Because it is definitely, they were on a budget, um, but they were able to do some pretty amazing cinematic stuff. And they shot in Canada, I think. I don't know if they shot it all in Canada, but I think they shot it all in Canada. And there was a lot of amazing architecture. The last episode is the famous the cottage episode. The cottage is a practically all glass mansion, really. And it's such a stunning piece of architecture that it's Zillow porn as much as hot dudes having sex. Like it is the the places that they tape are these beautiful, beautiful apartments, uh, actually houses. They're all houses. Even the apartment's actually a house in reality. So there's so much to look at, and there's so much depth of field. Like it's not at all like a TV show. It is so cinematically done. Um, so that basically it triggers the neuroscience of it is that it triggers everything in your brain so that if you're not interested in the dialogue in that moment, you're going to be interested in something that you're visually seeing. It and that's how it holds your interest. And then the Easter eggs are emotional Easter eggs, which is unlike Stranger Things where you get like really plot Easter eggs, storyline Easter eggs. This is all emotional Easter eggs. And so you're watching so closely to get these emotional Easter eggs, you're not even realizing that things are being planted while you watch, but it keeps you engaged. That's a lot harder to create than dialogue that will explain the action,
Right.
but
Um,
it actually is better for the younger mind.
uh, one, I find it hilarious that you refer to it as the famous last episode because is it famous?
It is
Um,
a famous last episode. The cottage. I'm
okay,
coming to the cottage.
yeah, yeah, bring it down a notch. Okay, I know you're fired up about this series, but still.
You come to the cottage with it's such a sweet, so sweet.
Okay, all right. Well, here's the thing that I come back to after the conclusion of this topic because I think we probably should conclude. Um, is that April Wright, documentarian. Um, she did this film on the great like movie palaces. In like all the great theaters across the country that had they had the amazing architecture, as you say, and the great art or whatever, and big screens and whatever, and it was like basically I've seen the ones that are still left in the country. Whether it be like the Paramount in Austin, obviously the Chinese Theater in LA, or the Orpheum in Wichita, or other theaters like that, around the country. Um, but the one thing was that I've always keep coming back is that she inadvertently showed how storytelling on film keeps morphing based on technology that's available. From the beginning of where it was just like like images and pages of a book, and you flip the pages and you see like the man running or whatever, to like the little cycloramas with the thing, and then the Nickelodeons, and all the way up to obviously theaters and 3D, and now IMAX or whatever. But it keeps changing. Technology has continued to change, and yet the storytelling is still there. And every time I have a conversation about something like this, I go, well, it's just going to continue to change. Storytelling is storytelling. And, now we can watch it on, like, I've got a huge screen in my living room. I could watch on my laptop, I could watch on my phone, or what have you, but it's still storytelling. Um, and, but this thing about the attention span, you go, well, is, you know, what are we going to now? And vertical.
Yeah. I mean, we probably will go vertical, but on the storytelling thing, storytelling is structure. There is math to storytelling. And I think um, we have to be, as storytellers in any medium, um, much more willing to kill our babies, as they say, right? Like edit, 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 so that you are thinking about your audience member more than yourself, right? And like I know, no matter what I write, from like the screenplay of what the movie we made all the way to what I'm writing now, there'll be a paragraph that I'm like, I wrote that paragraph so well, I want to keep it, but I know I'm keeping it for me, not for the reader. The reader doesn't need it, right? And that is so much more pivotal because I do think the wandering off is when we are not sticking to the structure of good storytelling.
I agree. And since that doesn't always happen with us, I think it's a good place to end this first.
Celebrate. Ding. Cheers. Ding.